Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Swerve with Me. This is a show where we have adult conversations for mature audiences only. We talk to people who have overcome challenges and they are not afraid to show their scars or to speak their truth. And throughout the past couple of weeks, we have been swerving and kind of deviating from our usual genre. And tonight, it's going to be a deviation, but it's going to be one that I am sure you are most definitely not going to regret. I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming to the Swerve platform tonight a couple who's been married for about 11 years and they've been pastoring for 6 of those 11 years. We're going to talk about that because that in itself, I'm sure, is pressure. But I want you to help me welcome as they come in. As a matter of fact, as you come in, you know what we do. We tag people, tag commandments of relationships tonight. So go ahead and tag somebody as you come in and help me welcome to the Swerve platform tonight, Dr. Glen and Mikara Russell. I can't see her.
Hello.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
hello.
Air.
How y'all doing?
We good?
Yeah, you make
I
room because I need to see her. How y'all gonna fit? Somebody must need to
okay. You
kind of
fix now.
twist a little bit or something. All
Yes.
right.
Hold on to
All
you.
right, that's good. Good to see both of you. Welcome. Welcome to this platform. Whether you're watching us from the United States, from the Caribbean, from Canada, or from Africa, because we have viewers all around, or whether you're watching this replay, welcome. We're having a discussion with Dr. Glenn and Mikara Russell. They're talking about the 10 commandments of relationships. So,
Mhm.
you know, you can't give people commandments without talking about your own self, right? You already know.
We got that.
So I want to start from the beginning and tell us a little bit about, let's start with the beautiful lady first. Tell us, yeah, you tell us, first of all, a little bit about your background pre Glenn Russell. Tell us about you, your upbringing, your family. Tell us a
Pre
little bit
Glenn.
about,
Pre-Glen. So
yes,
much for
absolutely.
pre-Glen. All
Yeah.
right. So, I've been born and raised in Grand Bahama. Before I was pre-Glen was Russell. I was Pelagius. Um, I grew up in Calvary Temple Church. For I was always heavily a part of ministry, whether it would have been the dance group, the youth group. I was a part of it all. Anything they did, I was just a part of it. It was like a rule in my mom's house. We had to go to church. Even if you're sick, she say, "Well, you got to go to church for you to be healed." So only if I run a fever was the only time mama would have been like, okay, you can stay home. So Sunday morning we in church, Sunday nights, Wednesday night for missionaries. I had to go to Sunday school the morning before church, and then youth on Friday, then practices on Saturday.
Okay.
It's a lot of
But
church.
it was we did a lot of churching. My mom always told me the hand of God is on my life. I always say, oh, I used to pray to God. I said, God, I don't want to be a pastor. Don't make me a pastor. Don't make me a minister. Don't make me nothing in the church. I want to be a doctor. But God had his way. God had his way. As a teenager, I grew up in church and heavily involved in church. And then as a teenager, I strayed away. But like around 11th, 12th grade, I caught myself and I was like, you know what? It don't make no sense trying to live without Jesus. I accept the call of God on my life. And then I eventually met this handsome young man.
Hallelujah.
So now tell us about a little bit about your background. Then we're gonna get into the meeting, like how it all began. But tell us about you, Dr. Glenn.
Yes, but thank you for having us again. Well, I'm quite have a similar story. I just didn't go to church that much, but I grew up in the church. My granddaddy is a bishop in the Lord's Church. I born in Grand Bahama. I grew up in Andros the first half of my life. Then I moved back to Freeport, Grand Bahama, East End with my mom, and I was there until I graduated from high school. Then I moved to Freeport. Of course, again, I've done everything in the church, from cleaning the toilet to preaching. I've done it all. And, And I wouldn't change it. I would have it no other way. It helped discipline me. People don't understand that, but saying serving in church is not just doing something. It's actually bringing discipline to your life.
Yes.
So a lot of stuff that I would have done, it helped me to become the man that I became, and discipline and mature. People
Yeah.
always ask me, like, when I tell them my age, so you seem a bit older than your age, because when you grow up like that, it really causes you to see life from a different perspective. And so, yeah. And so, of course, I went after high school. I went into work. I started Bible school around the time I already met Mikara Russell. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's me.
Okay. So, a church boy, a church girl, going
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
their business. Now, let's talk about the meeting. How did you two meet? Who wants to start the story?
Okay, I'll go.
She always mess it
So-
up. You always mess it up. Go ahead.
Okay, so that day, me and his cousin Shaniqua, we had a situation that happened in class, and then we were coming downstairs, and
So,
we were
so wait.
talking.
Let's clarify this. You were in high school at the time.
High school
You
at
were in
top
12th grade. You were in a
Yes,
senior in high school. Okay.
Yes,
Let's make sure
And-
so people understand. You know?
Yes.
right. That's true, right? So we were talking. We went by the car. She said her ride is here. We went by the car. And we were talking, and this gentleman just jumps in our conversation. I'm like, who is this dude? Like nobody's talking to you. Why you just and put yourself in our conversation? So anyway,
But
it
first
was
of all, I was
cool.
waiting on you. You should
It
allow me
was
to get the conversation.
cool. Yeah, at that time I didn't know, right? So it was okay. So okay. Then he started like then he's he's on more my side. I said, okay, I'm kind of liking this, you know. So I'm like, okay, you look kind of handsome, all right, good looking guy. But at the time I was already in a relationship, so I wasn't really thinking that. So after that, a few weeks went past, and I saw him to my volleyball game. And he
So
was
what you
like,
was doing at the volleyball game?
I
Let's-
wonder.
What were you doing at
I'm-
the volleyball game?
I wasn't there for her.
You wasn't there for
Just
me.
bring that point clear. I was
Okay.
there for someone else, and I end up seeing her.
Mhm.
Now, after I saw her,
Okay.
then yes.
And he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hi, how you doing?" And I continued go do what I do in my business. And then I saw him again at
Graduation.
a party. No, not
No, your graduation.
my graduation.
Yes.
And he came. And he was like, "Oh, I think I have this." Is he had a car in his phone? He was like, "Is this your number?"
Listen to the game
I
now.
was
Listen
like,
to-
I was like, "No, that's not my number." But okay, I coming back to you because I had all my family there. We taking pictures and stuff or whatever. And did I ever come back? No way.
No, you wasn't saying. You never came back.
So,
And then
so,
party,
so then you went to a party.
then the graduation party, he was
Okay.
like, I saw him again.
I was shopping with my
He was
cousins.
chaperoning his cousins.
Yes.
And then his cousin gave my friend Shaniqua, she gave me the
I
number.
beg.
She was like,
Let me tell this part.
please text
Yeah,
my
let him take over.
cousin."
Let him take over this part. How we got the
Change it up on it. I get a sentence with power and authority. I said, Nikki, Shanika, please, just get the number. Nikki, I promise you. I ain't about you no more. Just get the number for me. I said to Nikki, if I get the number, I don't care who she talking to now. If I get the number, it's over. And sure enough, I got the number, and that was it.
Mission accomplished.
14 years later, we're still here.
Mission accomplished. So you meet, and so how long after her graduation do you actually start dating? By the way, if you just joined us, welcome to Swerve. I'm talking with Dr. Glen and Mikara Russell. We're going to talk about the 10 commandments of relationships, but I want to get some background info before we delve into that. So we just at the point now where he's just trying to get the big hookup, and so he got the phone number, he got the digits, y'all. He got the digits. How
Yeah.
soon? Let me ask you this: how soon after you got the number did you use it?
I used
That same night.
I didn't waste no time. I didn't waste time. I had time to waste.
Were
At
you
night-
shocked? Were you shocked when you got the phone call or text or whatever?
No, I was expecting it.
Oh,
And
okay,
and
Yeah.
then by that morning, it was she was
We
ready
talked
up
the whole
the
night.
whole night. You know the phone we had the free texting, the
The
free texting. I had one of those,
hmm
and I texted the whole night. And by the morning, she was hooked.
wow. So, what happened to the other person you were dating?
So what had happened was, at the time, we were just friends. We were just friends,
Okay,
and me and the guy, I went through like a phase in my life where I rededicated my life to God, and I know the person I was with at the time wasn't safe and wasn't healthy, wasn't good for me.
okay.
And he was into the guns and different things and the drugs and all of that. And something happened, and I was like, you can imagine a person pulling a gun up on me. Persons would normally, whenever you date a drug boy, they would normally attack the family. And
Mhm.
for me, I was like, do I want that for my life? And I said, I know that where God has taken me, I'm rededicating my life to God. I cannot have that. So we were already in that breaking up stage for a few months. I was
Okay.
trying to break up with him, and he was like, I want to start going to church. We can start doing stuff. But I know he was playing with me. But I
Sure.
eventually caught on. And then at one point, I was like, I just can't take it no more. And I broke up with him.
Okay. So the
Yes,
transition was relatively smooth because you had
It, wa-
church boy.
yeah,
Church boy
it
was over
was
there
for the most
waiting.
part, but for the most part, it was smooth. And at one point, because my boyfriend at the time knew we were friends, we broke up one time, and he was like, he called my husband now, and he was like, I'm trying to talk to Mikara, and he one day he was like, you might as well go back with him. I'm like, what?
see what happened, right? She went to John Canoe, and my sisters was spying out the line, and they saw
Uh,
him talking to her, but they didn't realize that she was trying to get rid of him.
Right.
mhm.
So they came home and said, God, I'm Glen, Kara talking to ex-boyfriend. So I was hot. So I said, anyway, I ain't got time for the foolishness. I said, I need this. And then he ended up calling me. I know you got my number. And he said, man, I love her. But I said, why might I go back with your boyfriend? Because I ain't got time for this. You know what I mean? That's
So how after you guys started dating, how soon into the dating were you dating knowing that this is it? This is the person I'm
Yeah.
gonna marry?
Yeah. For me personally, I always said, um, at that age, I said to myself, I'm the next person I'm gonna date, I'm gonna marry. And I said, I don't want to waste time with I always know I wanted to marry young. I said I don't want to waste time with people I know is not a good fit for my life. So when I met Glenn, he was a man who was saved, he was a man who was after God's heart, he was a man who had vision. When I saw that, I was like, mine.
Stake your claim. Stake your
This
claim.
is mine. So him asking to be his girlfriend was like him asking me, will you marry me? Because we both were like on the same page. We both
Mhm.
knew that we were the fit for each other. So he is like, you know what? Let's just claim our prize, and
October
Mhm.
21st.
21st is when we made it
So
That
official.
how
same
long
year.
did you date before you married? The same year?
We
3 years. We
three
dated for three
We
years.
dated for 3 years,
We,
and on our third anniversary was the day after that. Was when
yeah.
we got married. We
Because
got married the
we
22nd,
started dating officially
October
October
twenty
21st.
first. Yeah,
That same year the same year I met you, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I asked her to be my girlfriend officially. Even though I know it's already the thing. And then
Right.
so when we got married 3 years later, we got married October
22nd.
22nd. So our wedding day is the day after our day we start going
Official
on
date.
dating.
You started dating.
Officially.
What
Yeah,
Yeah.
was it about her, Pastor? What was it about her? I know you had said earlier about, mature, the good conversation, but what
Yeah.
was it about her that I found my good thing? What was it about her?
To be honest, she was just different. And when I say that, I mean like the average person her age. And if you were to get around her now, you would see that she's not the age. I married you at 20.
20.
She
Yeah,
was 20 when
20.
I married her. Like
Wow.
her maturity was just above. I guess above.
Yeah,
I mean, it was explosive, and the way she handled the way she handled things and situation, her determination, her mindset. When she set a goal, that's that. And even there was one time that we just stopped talking, and before we started officially going, we stopped talking. And then she called me and she said, I remember your birthday and I bought you a gift. I said, what? I said, you bought me a gift and we even don't talk like that no more. And I go to my house that day and she buy me a shaving set. I'll never forget it, the shaving set. And I said, wow, you remembered my birthday. So it was like she just was different. She had no, like she was not a person who was all over the place. Her name wasn't all over the place. She was settled. She loved Jesus. And of course she was beautiful. And so I also said I want to get married. I wanted to get married young. And when I saw the way she took care of her life and the way she was with her family and everyone, I said, that's someone I need in my life. Yeah.
Okay. So when you married now, and so when you married, you were already in ministry full time, Pastor. You were already in ministry, right?
I was frontline ministry, but I was still working. I was working. I didn't start
Okay, so
full
you were
time
in front
ministry.
So
Yeah.
5 years. I think it's
Until
5 years.
5 years into our marriage, I started full time ministry.
5 years into marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, but did you know, Mikara, that there was a call? Because it's one thing to be in ministry, as a whole other level when it comes to pastoring. So,
Yeah.
did you know he was heading for the pastorate? Or
I
was that
did.
a surprise to you, or
No,
were
it wasn't
you
a
kind of
surprise.
expecting him to go that way?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to go the route it went. How
Mhm.
God set it up, we didn't expect it to be like that. We
Right.
always thought that we would have took over a ministry that was already established. We saw the hardworking ministry, and we already say to ourselves that we don't want to ever want to start in a church, because
No.
starting church on your own is like a
Mm.
whole another level.
Yeah.
So we always thought in our mind that one time that somebody would turn up a church to us,
Yeah.
and
We'll
then
serve.
we'll
Yeah.
serve until then. That was
Yeah.
our mindset. But we know, because I used to call this bishop a lady from we were dating.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so when he came to you with this revelation that he has to start a work, let's go. I want to go there, and then I can jump. I promise y'all, I come into the 10 Commandments. But when he came to you with, this revelation that I am supposed to start a work, like, what was that conversation like?
It was kind of funny because we already transitioned from the church where we were at, and we were about to join another ministry. And for some reason, we were supposed every Sunday we say we're gonna join, but it never happened.
Never happened. Yeah.
And I remember one day I said to me and the Holy Spirit were just like thinking and talking, and I'm like, I wonder what if God have for us to start a work? It's like a question in my mind, and I'm like, the devil is a liar. I don't think that. No, sir. But like, it's something you don't want, but something you just have that knowledge of. So it was like that for me. And then one day he calls me crying. I was to work and he called me crying. I was trying to figure out what happened. And he's like, it's time, baby, it's time to start the work. I say, okay, baby, well, let's start getting to work. Let's see what God's doing. Let's see what God's saying. And let's just go from there.
Mm.
And then
So
that
no
day,
resistance,
no, but
reluctance.
I guess I already had a feeling. God already
Right.
downloaded something in my spirit to say, hey, we can do something different here. So I didn't know exactly the direction, but I just know something was up.
Mm-hmm.
So when he said it, it was like, okay, God, I don't know if we can do it, but okay, you give us this, you give us this. We know you got us.
So this, I promise y'all, this is the last one, but my mind is
It's
just
okay.
I'm,
racing.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm
I believe
gonna,
we have to go.
I'm talking to the
Wait up.
audience right now. So what I want to know is, so you both accept the call to start a fresh work. So Pastor Glenn, take me to the process of actually having that first service. Like, what was
Ooh.
going on? What was going on inside of you? How you were feeling?
Why?
Nervous, wondering if the people can come, where they coming from.
Listen,
Like, take me to that first service.
and if I start to cry, just know I'll be all right. Um, I remember when the Lord spoke to me that day in my bedroom. That was one of the scariest experience, because when He said, "Ask me," I said no. I said no. I said I don't want to do it, Lord. And I felt the Holy Spirit grab me and shook me like I was shaking like a leaf in my bed. I got up, run to the phone, call her, because I was scared. I've never had the Holy Spirit. I think there was one time the Holy Spirit really moved on me like that before. And so that for me was a very traumatic experience. And I said, I have to get off the island. I went off the island. I went to Grand Key to my granddaddy, because he had almost a similar experience when he started. And I went on a week of fasting and praying and hearing the Lord, asking him questions, writing. I came back with everything. And I remember when I came back, I went to one or two persons with it, and it wasn't good, And you hearing feedback, oh, when you and your wife can be, what are you talking about? You ain't ready for that. Y'all ain't ready for that. When it can be y'all two in there. So but I know I heard God. When you, Miss Ennis, when you know you hear God, like I'm not sure how this can work. I'm not sure who can show up. I'm not sure where it's gonna be located. But I know I heard God. I knew that for a fact. I heard God. So I remember when we came back, we had a meeting with family in the room by Kingdom, where she was standing upstairs. Bishop Kermit Sanders, and we honor God for him for giving us the opportunity. And I remember my family and friends came in the room, and I'm presenting to them, and I was bold because I know I heard God.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the faces, and some of the faces are like, "Oh no, you about to do this." Some is like, "Okay, go ahead." Some is like, let me see how this can go." And then a room full of mixed feelings. But I presented like I knew God, And then I remember that first, when we called the first night, we started on Sunday nights, and I remember I asked my wife, "You think people can show up?"
Yeah.
Listen to me, and this I know God I was on the work. They had to bring in chairs into that church that night.
The very first one.
Very first night, we had the prayer and intercession. And so
that kind of sealed the deal for you. You knew like you were in the vein, and that was it.
We did that for 4 weeks, and
we did the ordination.
We saw this, and then we had the church launch of the ordination that February of 2016. Yes, and so man, even the hall of the confirmation, even at the hall, we had that beauty hall was full of capacity with people. And so that was another where God was saying, "Man, I got you," and he proved that to us from then to now. Listen, from then to now, we have seen God for New Destiny 6 years, going on 7 years now. God has proven Himself to be faithful to us, and I got to give Him glory for that. Yes.
6 years later, so 6 years later now, you guys have one of the fastest growing churches, I believe, in the city of Freeport, and you pastor a multi-generational church.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, you're millennials pastoring a multi-generational church. That must be interesting with the dynamics of the people that are in that ministry.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Talk about the dynamics of the people in the ministry.
Yes, when we started the ministry, one of the things I told the Lord, I said, "Lord, I really want balance. I want a balance. I don't want just because we had a lot of young people. I mean, they were just doing it, and I said, God, I want balance. I want the mother's desire, and then what I realized though, my preaching and my teaching of the Lord did for me, because how I grew up around old people, so I had that. Yes, I had that old school with me along, because I was a youth pastor mixed with the youth pastor, and then you had that, in the middle there. And so on a given Sunday, and I do a sermon series, all the young in between able to benefit from it, because the way I present it, sometimes I do demonstrations, sometimes just the way, and then you have the media outlets now, you have the screens and stuff like that. So, and then you include that generation who are into that stuff, but you also include the generation that don't have they're not that stuff, but they just want Jesus, and so then
you were able to build a bridge between the generations.
Yes, I was able to build that bridge between both generations, and then that's how you see Pastor Gilbert as my executive pastor. Pastor Gilbert from Jubilee. She is my executive pastor now for 5 years of that 6 years, and to me, she was our spiritual mom. to have her came alongside us was a blessing.
Yeah.
And then I had a few other spiritual moms who were older, Minister Nina Pinder and Daddy Ellie Pinder. They came along, and we have so much settled. I don't call them old because they move quicker than us. And then we have that
You have a
generation
good
that
balance. You have a good
right, we have
balance.
the good balance. So when I was even in ministry, I'm open to their correction, even being their pastor. And Pastor Gilbert is so keen with that, and show me she is so awesome with that she know when to be pastor, and she know when to be mother, and she know when to be for me to be a pastor. She have never one day ever made
Yeah.
me feel like I'm too young, and that was a blessing to that. So that's
That's
how
that's
God did
that's
it.
That's
Yes,
awesome. All right, now we switching gears now. We're switching gears and we're turning now to the 10 commandments of
yeah.
relationships. And I want to start with number 10, which says, Thou shalt establish a godly foundation. What does that mean to both of you? Either one could jump in first.
Well, I'll start off by saying this. There's nothing could last outside of God. Why? Because He framed the world. He is the one who created everything. And this even ain't deep. This just common sense. Like He stepped on nothing and He just spoke the world. Everything in it, the world and they that dwell therein, is God. And so, if we're gonna establish anything in the earth, and for God to breathe on it, He got to be the foundation of it. And that's just simply it. It ain't deep. You want to survive in a God ordained place, then make God the center of whatever you're doing. If he's the center of it, anything that comes outside of the center have to be a product of the center. And so the foundation of anything, relationship, marriage, anything that you do, you make sure it's God. Because watch this. There's some things that you will never be able to do with your natural mind.
Right.
You need the Spirit of God
Yeah.
to intervene. There can be some days you don't understand. And for me to understand this beautiful woman right here, and I'm still trying to figure out. And
And
for
they could
me
never
to
have
and for me to understand her, I have to go to the God who created her. When something is wrong with my fraud, I go to the person who deals with fraud
Yeah.
because they have the tools, they have the type of equipment that is necessary to make sure that they don't damage nothing. They have the right proper tools. So if I want to deal and find her and know her and be able to serve her, then I have to go to the God that created her. So the foundation is very important because even the Bible tells us he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. So if you do it God's way, then you get favor on the way, and that's the way I look at it when it comes to foundation. There's some
Yeah.
things you cannot handle on your own, but that's the time when God will make it happen for you.
Amen.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you want to add anything to that?
Like Pastor said, I feel as if a lot of times, we as people, we do things without God,
Mhm.
and we don't understand the importance of getting God's blessing and getting God's direction, and allowing things to be built God's way.
Yes.
A lot of times we find ourselves in situations, and we find ourselves in unnecessary storms because we didn't seek God. We didn't allow God to do the one to do the
Yes.
building. And at the end of the day, a part of life is you're gonna have storms, you're gonna have trials, and the only way you can have a guaranteed outcome is if you do it God's
Yes.
way. So for us, even when we were just talking, when we were just individual single people, that was paramount for me. And the funny thing for me was, before I even started talking to Pastor Glenn, I wore a wedding ring, my mom's wedding ring, and people always said, Mikara, why are you wearing a wedding ring? Because you're gonna run guys away from you. I said to my friends, I said, look, in order for my husband to find me, he have to seek God first to find me. That's how he's gonna find me. And for me, and I'm so glad we had that type of mindset other day, because now we're reaping the benefits of it. You do understand? And we have a beautiful thing going on in our marriage.
Mhm.
So that foundation is firm because it's built
Yeah,
on God. So
definitely.
commandment, that's number 10 on their list, but I started with the foundation.
That's
Thou
fine.
shalt establish a godly foundation. So
Godly
now let's go to
foundation.
number 1. Thou shalt leave and cleave. How important is that to do, to leave, especially if you come out of the type of situation where you're literally coming right out of your parents' home
Mhm.
into a marriage? I know sometimes it can be difficult, especially the bond that a man may have with his mother, or vice versa, a daughter with
Yeah.
her mother or mom. So let's talk about the dynamics that you guys face. Was that an issue? How easy was it for either one of you, if you were in that kind of situation, to leave and cleave?
We didn't. We did
Or
not have
y'all was so
problems.
ready to
Not
leave
so
and
much.
cleave?
Not so much. When it comes to leaving and cleaving.
And I'll tell you why we didn't have much problem.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we started leaving before we got married.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
You
so
see,
what do you mean? Qualify that. Qualify that. What
okay,
do you mean?
what I'm saying is that when we realized that we gonna do this,
Yeah.
we started making that necessary uh, 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 detachment. What I mean by that, and my mom, I love her. My mom have a better relationship with me. If you ask me, understand? But we started to create a space for us.
Yeah.
We started to create space, even finances wise, stuff like that. Because she's making her money, I was making my money, I was doing my own thing. So we started to create a space that made us independent. Our wedding, we didn't depend on our parents to pay for it.
No.
Understand? It was us, So we came out of it. But so what I would
We were
say,
very independent individuals.
individuals,
To be honest.
yeah.
So
So
is that what you recommend? Is that what you would recommend to a couple right now that's dating, to start that process of leaving and
yes,
cleaving prior to actually doing it?
yes. Let me tell you why. Because I believe you don't know you have a problem until it becomes a problem. Boundaries are necessary, even if you don't see the leaving and cleaving. No means forget them and forsake them.
No.
Leaving and cleaving is just simply I'm setting boundaries that my mom, my dad, my auntie, my sister, my friend, they cannot cross.
Right.
Understand? And I feel like the boundaries when you set them is the leaving and cleaving. So what we do is we invite them in until we don't want them in, and then it becomes a problem.
Right.
So what you want to do is create a space where it don't have to be an issue. You don't want to ever have to deal with the fact that your mommy is too much in your house, your daddy is too much in your this and that. So you want to create that boundary that my mom know
Yeah.
this is how far she goes. My dad know this is how far he goes. My sisters them know this is how far they go. When I was dating her, this is what I did, and my sisters them know. When I have to pick her up, I said, okay, mama coming. They know front seat is for her. The only time that she wouldn't get the front seat if my mom was in the car.
Yeah. I'll tell.
And that was because that was her respect and
Yeah.
my respect to our parents. And my mom never really took care anyway. She would sit in the back. But I said that for my family to know that, I didn't do that because I was just being on. I did that so they would know this woman is going to be my wife. So now I need you to understand she's gonna become first.
Right.
She's gonna be first
That's
in my life.
good.
I
That's
ain't
good.
struggled with that. Yeah, and they knew that.
They knew.
So
Yeah.
sometimes they used to get mad.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I said, end of the day, the next 2 years, just I can marry her. So
Yeah.
so I set that boundary, and up to this day, they honor that.
Yeah.
They honor
That's good. Um, let me read some of the. Okay, this is good. I just seen this is good. This is good, Pastor. God's way, very important. Set boundaries, good stuff, and a whole lot of other stuff. So, was there a time since you've been married that you wanted to go back to your mother's house or go back to your father's house?
There was a period in our marriage where we hit some rough roads, and we actually moved in with her parents. I would never recommend it to anyone
No.
in life. Don't ever do it. Ever.
But I would suspect that was just a financial move.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
of course. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. But I'm
don't
talking about, was there a time in marriage where
When
you
you
wanted
wanted
to
to go
just
back.
take a break and go back
We did.
home
We
for a
did.
minute?
No, but it
Well,
wasn't. I don't think she ever wanted to go back home.
when we had arguments, heated arguments, it would be like, I'm going back home, or it was just something we would say out of anger, but
But I never remember
nothing.
you saying that. I didn't think you never wanted to go back
But
home to Bahama.
but it was never a like something that was gonna actually be our reality.
Sure.
Yeah,
No.
it was nothing.
I remember you wanted to go back home.
Yeah, just
Okay,
because
so all right, so nobody never was like, okay, that's it. I need a break from you for a week, couple of
Oh, you mean
days.
now?
we
Listen
did
now. We can talk about the breaking thing. Oh, we needed breaks.
yeah,
But I didn't ever go back home. But I guess there were some days
yeah,
I didn't want to see her guts. She didn't want to see my guts. She couldn't stand the scent of me. I couldn't stand
yeah.
the scent of her. And we just wanted to get away. But sometimes
Yeah,
you
we
know,
like 6 years in our marriage, and we really hit that rough patch.
oh man, we had a rough patch there,
Oh, that was like a year after we started the ministry.
yeah, after we had a
Oh wow!
That
Is
was
that the
worse.
year you had to move back in with your parents?
no,
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 Was
we
that
beyond that. Then
we were beyond that.
this when we started the ministry, and then we hit. We know it was a spiritual attack, but then we left some doors open
Yeah.
in our marriage. We left some doors open,
Mhm.
and
So
so I
you
don't
mean
blame.
that created tension between the two of you? That's what you're talking about?
No, what happened is that I believe my passion to start the work and work the work, I forget to work. I stopped working my wife.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't balance. It was balance.
Yes, it
the
was a
problem.
balance
Okay.
issue. And it left, and I was so we building the work ministry was to understand
Yeah.
this. I didn't even realize that my wife was feeling alone.
Yeah.
You know, start she's feeling alone, and that left doors open that created other stuff. We lost our friendship,
Yeah.
and we lost
Right.
our friendship. Everything else started to
Everything else.
go down the hill. And
So
so,
how
yeah.
did you repair that? How did you fix that?
After that,
Wow.
we started to go down,
We
down,
was
down,
down.
down, down
We used
to almost a divorce star.
Yeah, we was talking divorce.
And how did we fix that? I had to connect back to God.
we both. Yeah.
I was doing God work, but I wasn't doing God.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't see her. I couldn't see my wife for who she was. I lost target of our friendship. I lost the value she was to me. I didn't care no more. I didn't care if we get a divorce and stuff. But until finished, when I got to the place where I said, me, God off, and God said, you guys gonna let this fail like that? And you guys gonna, and I went on the fast, and then my eyes were open. And everything, to me, after that, in my eyes, it was my fault. Even though she was wrong, I took the fault for everything. And I started to fix, and I started to work, and I was like, even some point she even was like, listen, who this man is? But I was determined because I got a revelation.
Right.
That's
Right.
why the Godly Foundation business is so important, because
Yeah.
now I run back to that to
Right.
fix this.
Right.
You understand? And until I got that revelation from him, then I realized that I was off here.
Right.
So Mikara, how were you feeling in that period and how did it change?
Well, I totally felt neglected.
Mm-hmm.
I felt as if my husband, he didn't have the idea of balance.
Mhm.
I understood that we were building the ministry, but I felt like we were losing us in the process. So for me, um, I handled it. I would say I handled a lot out of emotions. And what happened was, based on me not handling it God's way, it further drove my husband away from me. So it wasn't no more like, okay, I'm trying to make time for you. For in his eyes, it's more like, you ain't called for ministry for me. I think he kind of felt as if like I was putting him in a position where he had to choose me or ministry. And in his mind, he is like, you as a man, I can obey God. So I feel as if we went through that type of mindset. And then also as a result, because me back then I was not submissive like how I supposed to. I would throw little tantrums. I would have
So little things, pop.
I would have freaked out.
tell him
I was a crazy young lady whenever we got to that place. So whenever he always say, because my mom is Jamaican, so anytime I would have asked out, he would have said that yachty was coming out of you. So um as a result,
Good.
it turned him off. So we were like we were just growing and growing and growing apart. And we saw each other as the enemy.
Mhm.
So anything we do, it was just, I'm the devil and he is the devil. So we got to the place where we just continued to grow further and further and further away until we got to the place where, you know what? I think we wanted to divorce. This don't make no sense.
Yeah, we saw each other as each other's
Enemies,
enemy. Like,
yeah.
I trying to do God's work, and I was doing it before I meet you, and now you come and now you want me to choose. But she wasn't asking me to choose. She's asking me to be her husband.
Right.
The same way I choose her to be to be my wife, she just wanted me to continue to be her husband. And I felt like the problem was happened there. I got lost in the work of ministry,
Right.
and I did not even realize that I was missing and there's something lacking in my house. And so the enemy had a loophole there. Some other things which transpired that would have caused some form of pain and of course destruction in the marriage. And so it was a heavy period for us. It was a heavy period for us. And but we never stopped trying, even though at some time we felt like we were done. We still was trying to ravish whatever we could have ravished, and then sometimes we got it and then it went all the way left. And we got it and it went all the way left again. It was just getting, sometimes I feel like be okay, and then bam, it drop again. Yeah. And so it was up and down until we decided to do. She was putting all kind of olive oil in my shoes and things slipping me down and putting oil in the bed. And
so I was convinced that my husband
was possessed.
Had a little something in him.
Had a demon. That was she said.
So my whole focus was, you know what? I gotta go in strict warfare.
Boom, militant.
I gotta go in warfare. I gotta fight for my marriage and tell her open the door like the lady did in War Room and tell her to get out my house.
And she was doing that.
And I was doing that. But wow. I got a revelation. There was the time the Holy Ghost like, you doing all of this, but you talking about him. But what about you? And God is like, Mikara, you praying to me about your husband, but there's some stuff about you. And I was like, oh my God, I doing all of this. God ain't even hearing me.
Yeah.
It's about me. Yeah. And I got to a place where I said, okay, God, this is me and you. And I took all the focus off of my husband and I focused it on me. And in the midst of that, God just showed me certain things about me, and some generational curses, some things I had to break off my life that was causing us the result of the marriage. And we got to that place, and he had his moments with God, and I did the same thing. God did the same thing for me. And at a certain point, we decided to come out together and then try our best to make it work.
I just love how you stuck with it and were able to work it. Now I want to talk about another leaving, and let's talk about that period, because there was a point when you went back, you went to school.
Yes.
And you left him there pastoring. So what was that transition like? Because that must have been difficult. How long had you been married at that point when you went back?
About 6-7 years.
Yes. My thing was, and even in all of that, I just didn't, even in where I felt and what we were going through, I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I was not going to be selfish.
Right.
I know we were in a bad place. I know it was a horrible place, and most people would have said, no, don't go. But I couldn't allow her. I wouldn't allow her to hate. She stand with me for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand with her for what she wanted to do. And I was not letting my emotions, the way I felt, stop me from letting her do what she wanted to do. It was one of those moments that I know it was God that for her to go, but it's also a moment that we had to use some wisdom with it, because people were saying she left me, gone, all kinds of things.
Okay. Okay.
They were saying she left me, she find me with woman, she find me with man. I was with everything.
Juicy stuff.
All kind of things he was saying.
Everything we saying, you know, and they had a whole show on the TV that said how they bring it up like they said, how should a man let his wife, a pastor let his wife go to college? And I listened to the show. I said, that's me. I said,
Oh, so you were the subject of the show. Okay.
of course, they didn't call my name, but I said, that's me.
Right.
talking
But
about.
you knew it was your story or
I
a
know it was my
variation
story.
of your story. A variation of the story.
Yeah,
That's
we made it
interesting.
headlines. We was in the
So how
WhatsApp
did
group
you
chat.
manage
We
though?
was
How did
across the
you
blog.
really manage? How did you manage the data? Because she was off studying, equipping herself for her job. You were still running a ministry. How
Yes.
did you manage? I know missing her, of course. How
Uh-huh.
did you find balance at that point in your life?
I could I can be honest. It was the people like Pastor Gilbert,
Yeah.
the minister Nina Penders, the Mom Strong, Velma Strong. She's my pastoral aide. They made sure nobody had to feed me. They was making sure
Yeah. It was
you
always
could
them doing
they
everything.
had she had a set of people that would deal with me when it comes to all that stuff. People would keep me sane, but I got lost. I got lost in that moment in and doing God's work, and I ended up going to school. That's how I was able to get my doctorate, my master's and doctorate. So while she was doing, I got myself busy getting what I wanted to get as well. And so she graduated, I graduated as well, and so it was a period that I used at my advantage. I wrote
Yeah.
some books, I did some things.
Yeah.
All the while we going through,
Yeah, we were
but
going
there
through.
were periods in there with good days. Sometimes I would go over to her. We have some good times. Sometimes she come home for breaks, stuff like that. I had to find the money. Sometimes I was mad at her, didn't want to send the money, all kind of things, and all kind of things. So that was a test of time. But it's
Yeah.
all, like the waste of time and the best of time all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. That's how it felt. But I had
That
good
that
godly
that was an
people.
awesome opportunity or test, I would say, to see what
Yes.
you guys were really made of.
Yes. We didn't come out empty
Uh,
handed, listeners.
yeah.
No.
We didn't come out
And I
empty
think
handed.
one thing about us, I think for me, I said at the end of the day, I still have to do what's best for Makara.
Hmm.
Because I said, okay, if this marriage decides to go all the way left, Makara is just not gonna just sit here and die. And I think the same thing with Pastor Glen. That's not gonna sit here and die because the marriage didn't work. And thank
Yes.
God that it did. But we had, I feel as if we had a focused mindset for us individually,
Hmm.
and that would really strengthen us to go ahead and let me pursue this one. This is like what I always wanted to do for years. I have an opportunity, Makara. I'm not gonna allow what we're going through
Hmm.
to stop us. And the same thing, likewise, Pastor Glenn still continued with ministry and continued to go forth and do what God has called him to do. And I did the thing I did likewise.
And she wanted me. She wanted me to stop preaching.
Yeah.
She said, "You need to sit down. You need to sit down. You know
Oh,
real
while,
life.
while y'all were
Yeah,
going through, while y'all were
yeah. Why going? You need to
up
sit
there
down. You need
preaching.
to be preaching. Sometimes she'd come and take me to preach if you want to. But watch this. I remember when I went to the Lord. I said, God, should I stop? I said, I feel like I'm a failure. I said, this ain't going good. Should I stop preaching? I remember the Holy Spirit said to me, preaching got you in it. Preaching will get you out it. He said, preach. And I remember I came with a sermon series right after that called Dancing
With
with Broken Bones. Oh, hallelujah. Dancing with
Mhm.
Broken Bones. And that series took me through a period.
Oh,
But this is,
you preached your way out of it.
I preached my way out of that. And I always say this to people, when you go in a situation, when you go into anything, I must, and it's don't never come out empty-handed and empty-handed.
Yeah.
Come out, do not come out empty-handed
Don't come up
or
empty-handed.
empty-headed.
Empty-handed.
You go through and come out empty-handed and empty-headed, then you fail. You just
Yeah.
waste your life.
That's
And
real
that's
good. Don't come out empty-handed and don't come out empty-headed.
empty-headed.
I want
Yeah.
to emphasize something that you said earlier, both of you, about taking a look at yourselves, because self-care is so important. Self-care,
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
you do not care for yourself and present yourself as a whole individual to another person,
That is
you're gonna
Preach,
be
true.
preach.
broken, you're gonna be mashed up. And so I think
Uh,
I really want to emphasize that to people in marriages, to people dating, or even
Yeah.
single people. You have to self-care. You have to look out for yourself. You
You
have
have
to
to look
do
out
the
for
yes,
things
yourself.
that are going to enhance your life, your vision, the direction that you are going in, what God is saying to you. Because yes,
Hmm.
you are a couple, but like we talked about, you are an individual too. And
Individual,
that
yes,
two whole individuals.
yes.
you
And
and
this
that
what.
person has to
Mhm.
make sure that they self-actualize, and then after they self-actualize they can transcend, which means now you're coming back to help somebody else to go through the process that you've gone through.
Yes, yes,
that's
yes.
that's that's really what it's all about. I needed to
And,
say that.
and even
uh
now, just let me add this right there while you say that. Even now, there's sometime I come home. In our house, I have a man cave. You know, sometimes I come home, and she allow me to decompress. Like, go get your time. So even now, we have to have that balance. That she would say, she loves to be around me. She just love me. I mean, if I was her, I would love being around me too.
oh shucks, man, she just loved you. Hey, it is what it
And
is.
she
Hey.
loved me. So sometimes she come home and sometimes you have a long day dealing with a lot of stuff, and she would allow me to deal with Glenn. And the same thing with her. She would go out somewhere. She don't really go out like that. But if she want to go somewhere, I never ever stop her from doing anything she wants to do because she really do nothing. And I always push her to be her.
Deprive her of that
Yes,
opportunity.
yes. And I always say this: I did not marry a half a woman. I don't have a better half. I have a better whole.
Oh,
She she don't need me to be a woman. She
yes.
can do life without me. She choose to do life with me.
Hmm.
That's how it should be. You want someone that is whole to become your better whole, not a better half. And that's something that
Absolutely.
we say. Yes.
I
Absolutely.
just want to add something to what Pastor said. Um, through that phase that we went through, it was really at that point I really found myself and like my
Hmm.
identity and who I was. I felt as if before our storm, I was just like Pastor Glenn's wife.
Hmm.
But that storm helped me to find who I am. Even though I
Yes.
knew who I was, because we were together for so long and we got together so young, I depended on him for a lot of things.
Hmm.
So when I realized that my clutch, my husband wasn't there, I had to I had to rely on the Holy Ghost, and in that it helped me to
Yeah.
find my
Own
identity,
joy.
and
Yes.
it help me to find who I am and give me a story. And I feel as if I transitioned from Pastor Glenn's wife to Mikara. You
Yes.
understand?
Where you
So
were
that
supposed
was
to be all along. That's
yes,
good stuff. I, I,
yes.
I absolutely love what I'm hearing, and
Mm.
the audience is enjoying it. I see somebody say, "You preaching. This is good. Real talk, transparent but respectful. This
Mm.
is true love. This good stuff. So true. You become strong. Yeah, really, really good. And guess what, guys? We only on number two.
Ah!
we, we, we only talk about two commandments and we're almost at the 9 o'clock hour. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. But I know it was gonna be good.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two on this list, which is the third one. Thou shalt communicate. Let's
Oh
do that.
yes.
Woo!
Yes. Um.
So,
Well,
were there any periods? Let me ask you this before you get into that. Were there any
yes, ma'am.
periods when you guys were going through where either one of you just shut down and you didn't want to talk about it?
Both of us.
Yeah.
We had the
Okay.
period.
Is that
We
like
did not.
living in
Mhm.
a house with somebody who you really don't want to talk to or be around
Like
for
a
that
Yes.
matter?
roommate.
Roommate. Listen. I even if that was roommate, that was almost like
That's like
the delivery man at the door. Let's bring the package and leave.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know.
So what was
And
that? What was that like? How it describe what it felt like though? So even though you were upset with each other and quiet and being passive aggressive, that's what that was, passive
mhm.
aggression with each other. But inside, when you had to reconcile with yourself, what was Pastor Glenn feeling and what was Makara feeling?
I just felt like in those moments that we did not communicate, we lost so much time. And like we lost so much of each other in those times. Like we just lost so much. So when looking back at it, I just wish we had talked more. You know, I wish we had communicated more. And to be honest, if we had communicated more, we probably would not have last as long in it. You
Yeah,
see?
absolutely.
and,
Absolutely.
and, and that's and that was the thing. And I honestly feel like okay, I honestly feel like we had to and this is why now for us we accepted a mantra, and that is what matters to me matters to you, and what matters to you matters to me. And
Mhm.
so that means for communication, even if you don't care to talk about it, if it matters to Mikara, I can talk about it.
Right.
She ain't want to hear what I have to say. But if it matters to her, then we'll talk about it. She'll talk about it. And that's
Mhm.
something that helps us with the communication. Now, sometimes she come with some stuff off the wall and be like, oh, on that run. Then I kept myself. I said, okay, that matters to you, baby. Well, let's talk about it. And the same thing with
Yeah.
her, with me. And that's how
And the whole art of communication it starts with the sender, the communicator. Then in between there's a decoder, because even though you're sharing with somebody, people hear different things. And this is
yes.
where effective communication comes in, because you
Yes.
could say something to somebody, but they don't interpret it the way you said it. So there's a communications model that I learned way back in college. So there's the sender, there can be an interception, there's a decoder, and then
Mhm.
there's the receiver. So that's a model that we learned. So it causes you to pause to make sure. My spiritual mom always would say, taste your words, taste
Mhm.
it to make sure that whether they're bitter or sweet, so that when you're communicating, the message that is intended to go out is received in the same spirit, we would say, as it
Yes.
was sent. And so that's
Yes.
the model right there. And then you have to listen, because communication is just not about talking. It's about
Mhm.
actually
Mhm.
deciphering, like, or decoding, as the model
Mhm.
says, and then receiving the information.
Even.
That's why someone needs to talk and someone
Mhm.
needs to listen, to
Mhm.
make sure that what was said, like, I really interpreted what you said.
Right.
So
Yeah.
thou shalt communicate. That has to be when. So are any one of you the type where, if somebody says, I don't want to talk, I don't feel like want to be bothered, you still insist that you just want to get your point across? Any one of y'all have that kind of
Well, in,
temperament?
in our home, we don't have the luxury. I don't have the luxury of telling my wife, like, I don't want to talk. And like that. We like, I can do it now. Just me. She can, my wife can, I can talk. Because,
I think we just okay, and then this has happened over the years. We have learned each other,
yes, yes.
so we know he knows when. Okay, I want to talk. I don't want to talk right now, even though he's pushing it. If he knows when I'm shutting down, I know when he's shutting down. So
Mhm.
we've just learned each other, and
Mhm.
we know the cue to say, that what? Okay, we can wrap this for right now.
Right now, leave
But
it blank.
my husband is determined. Oh my God, he's determined, and he's doing much better when it comes to communicating.
He's growing. He's growing.
Yes, he
That's
is.
real good, Lord. Lord, we got more to touch. We got more to touch.
But I
Okay.
know for me, I have definitely learned. I've learned, um, especially with him being a pastor. All right. Even though I don't, I have like I have something to talk about. I probably, depending on what's going on at the time, I know Sunday
Sure.
morning is not a time for me to deal with anything. No, I just that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna suck it up, and then
Mhm.
probably the next day, depending on what's going on, I would set the atmosphere, and then I'll be like, okay, I want to talk to you about this or whatever the situation may be. I feel as if we have learned that, and that's something we have been intentional about, like setting the atmosphere and knowing when to communicate, knowing when it's too much for the individual, whatever you're dealing with. Because sometimes I went through stuff in the past. I went through stuff with work. You went through stuff with the church, and you just don't be in that mind frame to deal with certain matters. So yeah, it's still a learning process. We haven't just learned it all, but those are some of the things that we use as it relates to helping us communicate and to make sure we get our point across. And I don't know if you said it, but something we always adapt, that if it matters to me, it matters to him. Yeah, we have something we just, we, no matter how small or petty or stupid we think it is, if our spouse is saying something, it's something that needs to be heard.
Yes.
And we're not listening to, we always say we're not listening to respond, we're listening to understand.
I still learning that one. I'll be honest, a lot is still working with me.
That's important, right? That's where the decoding comes in. You got to understand. And every time somebody says something that doesn't necessarily warrant a response,
don't worry, right.
Oh, Lord,
that's it. Let me read a couple more comments. Tatiana says every marriage has issues that cause them to grow stronger and rekindle that love with more intensity, grow in love and unity. Edney says been there, bro. Done that. God plans always work. Okay, I'm sure he's referring to something you must have said. We are mad with each other the best time. When we are mad with each other, this Ellsworth, he says, when we're mad with each other, the best time is making up. And Fernie says, sometimes a pastor's wife feels like they communicate with others more. Yeah, I get that. The balance, that goes back to the balance that she was okay. Sheesh, we got so much more ground to cover. Thou shalt build together. Thou shalt build together. Let's talk about that.
This is what I started and I let her continue because she's really good with this one. If I was to buy a house right now, I don't know what type of screws they use, what type of nails they might have used. Or I walk into a beautiful house and I see a house. I don't know what's in the walls, what could come out, jump out at me later. The value of building together is when you build together, you know exactly what you're putting in the house. And so a lot of times, a lot of people, things jump out at them later because they didn't build together. And even with some people who they want a ready-made man, a ready-made woman, and not helping her to become. I feel like yes, there are some women out there that are they doing their due, but you want to build that woman, you want to build that man together, you want to build each other together, so you know what's in the walls of that building, you know what's in the walls of that individual. So if I'm helping you to come together, I'm helping you to build your life, then nothing should catch me by surprise. Right. And I feel like one of the things that happens when you don't build together, there's a lot of surprises that jump out at you. And you have your separate this, you have your separate that, this over here, and you're doing it over here. And then what happens is when the other person finds out about it, it becomes an issue. Now, my wife, she always have a stash. We ain't wife, we always have a stash. Always have a stash. That's fine. But if we're gonna properly manage our finances, we gotta build that together. You can't be over here doing your own spending.
So y'all don't believe in separate. So y'all have a joint account because some couples don't have joint accounts.
Yes, we have a joint account. We have two checking accounts: a joint account that we run bills through, and a joint account that we save through. And then whatever she wants to do on her end, she can do that. I have no issue with that. But our main finances
comes together.
Yes, I basically run the finances. I deal with the checking balance. I do that. That's my area. Understand? Right. And so we work it. We work it because then never day she can come. The power's off, or there's no money for food or nothing like that. Because I'm gonna make sure that the balance. So when she comes, if she wants some new shoes, not today. You can get the new shoes not today. because something coming up. I'm better at that. My wife,
Sure.
I write the check to pay the bills, and she leave it in the bag. That's how she is. The check there with the bag.
Somebody got to do it.
Yeah, I
Somebody got
am.
to do it.
I'm the bill payer. I'm the bill
Yeah,
payer. I'm the check. I'm the check and balance person.
that's
That's me.
good. That's
And
playing on each other's strengths.
yes, her
Yes.
strength is the shopping. Now, my wife, no, not the bad way. I mean, yeah, that way too. But my wife will go in the food store, and she will. I go the same money. I come up with a little bag, and I watch her make the money work. So I sell
Hmm.
her the store any day. That's her. Shopping is
All
up.
the stores.
All the things.
All the stores.
She made all the other
That's really, really
yeah.
good. Build together, and you guys demonstrated that because, again, she was in school, she was
Uh-huh.
building. You were in
Hmm.
school, you were building together, so you knew what each
Right.
other was doing, and more importantly, when you build together, you know what each one brings to the
The
table.
table.
Table. Yeah,
Yes.
You
that's
know
good
what
right there.
each other brings
That's
to the table,
powerful.
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's really, really good. Okay, so we talked about you should establish a godly foundation. You should leave and cleave. Thou shalt communicate. Thou shalt build together. Let's talk. I can save number 4, y'all. I guess we kind of touched on thou shall have a
Yeah,
financial plan, but let's
yeah,
expand
we
on
can
that a
do
little
that.
bit
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's yeah, just say one little thing about that because we already kind of talked about the different accounts and saving. Let's talk
Yes,
about that
yes.
financial plan.
With understanding, see, and this come about after many mistakes. Understand? I told my wife, if we're gonna see different results,
We got to do
we
some
got to do
different
some things
things.
differently.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
that means you got to control the way you spend. You got to control how you channel money, what you invest in, what you don't invest in, and stuff like that. So the plan, when it comes to insurance, when it comes to life insurance and stuff like that, I don't want to ever have to. If the Lord, God forbid, if I die, my wife is suffering. The least they could do, man, the least they could do is should be able to bury her and take care of
Yes.
it. I told her I don't want no repast, so I don't have to buy no food and feed nobody
The church
on my
should to take up an offering to bury their pastor.
right. That I believe in that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I believe in making sure that if I was to die right now, that my wife, my children, they're able to at least get rid of me and have no headache and no bills and
Don't say it like
no debt.
that.
I mean, you gotta put me in the ground. I ain't gonna be sitting up in the house. At least
But
bury
you
me.
didn't have to say that harshly. Get rid of
Right.
you, like
She
start
don't like
getting
when I
rid of
talk
you.
about that. I tell her it's inevitable. She don't like it, but
But that's good. Let me.
yeah,
Montgomery says, "Oh, sorry, not Montgomery. Mahogany says, build together on as to encourage, build a future together. See what direction you have your future is headed in. Ensure your path's in the right. Okay, ensure that your path is in the
yeah.
right direction.
Direction,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, that's good. All right. Okay. My God. Yeah, I just see this one. Come alive. Thou shalt protect the bedroom. Go there. Go there.
Ay, ay, ay.
Go there. Go there tonight.
For,
Thou
for
shalt
me,
protect. See, you say protect the bedroom. So
yes.
let's go there. Let's
You know
talk
what I
about that.
found? You know what I found, and this is all growing because when we walk through, the bedroom is not the courtroom.
Hmm.
The bedroom is not the place where you put each other on trial. The bedroom is not the place where you go and you have arguments stuff like that. That's your place of rest. That's your sanctuary in your house.
That's our
So
safe
that's
place.
our safe place. So what we try to do now is not to have certain conversation in the bedroom. We use the tables, we use downstairs in the living room, and we try to when we go upstairs that the atmosphere remains what it should be for what it's
Yes.
needed for. That place is where if I have a bad day, I can lay in my wife's arms and have a great night.
Yeah.
She have a bad day, that bedroom is where she comes can have a great night, that she can begin her day again tomorrow. And in times past, we made the bedroom the war room
Yeah.
and the courtroom.
Yeah.
And so we were warring in the bedroom to the point that I would leave and go sleep in the front room, or she would leave and go sleep in the front room. So now the place of peace is no longer the place of peace. The place of where you should lay on each other's chest and communicate and talk and have that dialogue that would help you to shift the trajectory of what tomorrow holds, what tomorrow should bring. But we're too busy arguing over what happened today and what shouldn't this and that and do, we're not planning, we're not preparing, we're not loving, we're not romancing. Nothing's happening other than, oh, you do this, you do that. So your bedroom no longer is a sanctuary. So some people don't want to come home to the bedroom because the bedroom is a place where I'm going to be put on trial. I'm going to be asked all kind of questions. I'm going to be get riled out. So it's something intentional. You got to be intentional about it.
Yeah.
That's your sanctuary. That's where you go and you rest and rejuvenate yourself to begin your day.
Yeah. So like
I
you
can see
like
Mikara
you
bubbling. I can see her bubbling. I can see her. Go ahead, go for it.
I feel as if we in a home we should, though your whole house should be a atmosphere of safety. I feel as if when you set aside the bedroom as some place that's sacred, it's like a boundary.
Mhm.
So for instance, we have an argument about something. We know when we go up there, whatever the outcome that is right there, we leaving that downstairs. We going in the bedroom and we can do what we gotta do.
Oh,
And it don't even have to be sexual.
Yeah.
That's where he was.
That means you leave it there. This piece.
But it's a mindset to say,
But,
hey,
but with that celebration that he just break out in just now, everybody know. Everybody knows, okay? Don't let's act like that didn't happen, okay? Let's not pretend we didn't see the celebration. We saw it, okay?
but that has been it helps us when it comes to communicating and all of that to say, you know what, that's the end of it right there. We'll talk with it tomorrow and what's not. So it create a safe place, a place that we know when we get to our room that we leaving everything. How you leave everything to the altar? We leaving everything downstairs, and this is us. And so
it's time to celebrate. It's time to celebrate.
Right. Once you create that boundary, that it makes everything go smoother in the marriage.
And the thing about it, this is where, can I be honest, my wife have not, people deal with the fact that I know probably I'm mature in this mature audience, you put it there. My wife have not deprived or use sex as a weapon with me in our entire marriage. And I feel like that's a lot to do with when you understand that look in the bedroom. So even if you had an argument, you go, there's no fight for that. There's no fight for sex. There's no fight for non-sexual contact. There's no fight for that because we understand this is the bedroom.
Right.
We had an argument, but the argument is not us.
Right.
And sometimes we use the argument and make it your spouse.
Right.
So now you don't want to have sex with them. You don't want to make love to them. You don't want to do that yourself. You have a disagreement. That's not who they are. You all have a disagreement. The disagreement is not y'all. So to go upstairs in your bedroom and say no because what you do to me today, I feel like that's wrong. So I don't have that issue with my wife because we are determined that that's something that we will never allow the enemy to come in when it comes to that area right there, because we believe in keeping the bedroom sacred. Yeah.
That's real good. This is the place where we have adult conversations for
Yes.
mature audiences. I told y'all. Welcome to Swerve, all you first timers. Okay, Pastor Julian down in Inagua says, awesome advice, Pastor. Love this kingdom couple.
Bless you, my brother.
Bless you.
Yeah.
I love Pastor Julian.
Love him. Yeah. I was reading something else. It slipped by me. Some other comment. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed it. So anyway, yeah, we gotta go. We gotta run. Yeah. So thou shalt protect the bedroom. Don't leave out the protect.
Yes.
And that's real good. I absolutely love that concept that you have adopted. Like leave those arguments outside that bedroom. Yeah. I love that. That's good stuff. Okay. Let's go to number 8 on your list. Thou shall compromise.
Well, this one also could fit when you talk about communication, because you have to compromise to communicate. This still have a lot in itself because compromise speaks of meeting halfway.
Mhm.
Understand? And so this is an example I normally use for compromise is that there's sometimes that my wife want to hold my hand and just hug me. No sex, just non-sexual
Non-sexual
contact.
contact.
But in my mind, I'm thinking if I hold your hand and
You getting all the signals.
hey, Bo, I feel like this is supposed to get to the next level. So for me holding the hands and doing the call during the day and the text and the WhatsApp and say, baby, I can't wait to see you later. I'm gonna get me some. You know, I'm gonna get some. But tonight she don't want that. She just want to be whole. She want to be held. She want to be talked to. She want to be just non-sexual contact.
Mhm.
And then, of course, if I do it, it leads to that to contact. so so now, how do we make this work?
Compromise.
Compromise. Okay. Tonight, as my wife wants to walk and have a non-sexual contact tonight. So what I got to do, I'm gonna keep the contact away from her and just allow her to bask in what she wants. Maybe next 2 nights it may be my night, and I don't
Mhm.
want the non-contact. I want
Mhm.
contact. So now
Right, right.
she have to now. She might not be. She have to compromise. Okay, you know what? You honored my request last night. I'm gonna honor your request tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just example, compromise with certain things. When it comes to life, I know you want that. I know you want to do that. But then if I do this, what it's gonna do for us and stuff like that. Sometimes we got to put down our needs, our wants for our needs. And so compromise and understanding that you might come from a culture and you do it a different one way.
Yeah.
My wife came from a different culture, different
Yeah.
background,
Yeah.
and I came from somewhere and we did things a certain way. So we all have to now compromise what I
Compromise.
used to and what she's used to.
Yeah. Blend the cultures.
Yes,
Blend
yes.
the cultures. Okay. So talk about compromise. Let's touch on thou shalt always forgive.
Thou shall always forgive. And go ahead, baby.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I,
Just
I
talk,
feel
huh?
I
Oh, you don't lack in the talking department, by the way, man. Okay, let's just put it out there. So don't try switch up now.
Okay, he's the preacher. Go
no,
ahead.
you go. I give you this one. I give you this one.
Hey,
Okay,
did you
so
did you tell her I saw her? I saw her when I spoke to you the other day.
Yeah,
I
but
saw you.
I tell like we had to hold me up and come off the mini interview.
All right. So you're a
Yes.
talker.
oh well, so when it comes to forgiving and relationships and in marriage, one of the things that when it comes to starting fresh or and making and starting something else in your marriage going to the next level, a lot of times persons would they would hold on to whatever the situation may be, whatever it is that they may be offended by and what's not. That's why we always encourage persons to communicate, but a lot of persons like to communicate but they don't forgive.
Mhm.
So I one of the things that we have been intentional about was forgiving whatever we have done wrong to each other. Something that we always forgive. Like and the Bible says, if you don't keep love, don't keep no record of wrong. So and I feel as if that was our problem.
Mhm.
So I would write on a list. I
So
usually
stick a pin. Let me ask you this. I want to ask you, who's the one who's quickest to forgive?
um
I say so. I said
no, well,
yes.
we go through. I think we go through seasons of it.
Well, I had the longest season.
No,
I'm
I feel like
I'm the
I don't think it ever has been just one person. I feel as if like when we go through different like I mean the season whatever season we in now, I feel as if he always be the one. Oh, you don't know to say sorry no more. But then it's a give and a take. It's something that yeah I would
Yeah.
say that.
See, when forgiveness is for me like this. That's the way I put forgiveness. If there's a checkpoint that you cannot cross when you get to the airport when you're going through security. And I feel like forgiveness will keep you stuck. Unforgiveness will keep you stuck at the checkpoint that you
Mm.
never cross to get to your flight to go to the next level.
Right.
And
Mm.
and and so forgiveness is not just for the individual. When you realize that you forgiven is freeing you up
Yes.
and causing you to now take flight and go to the next level, and you not stop at the security checkpoint of your life, then you realize, man, I forgive. When we first got married, I wasn't the sorry. I wasn't saying sorry,
No.
but I wasn't all that. I was keeping record wrong, and every time you argument, you remember you
Well,
do
you remember
that?
this?
You
Remember
do
this?
that?
And we both did that. We
Yeah,
both
we
did
both did
that.
that.
No,
And
and we realized it wasn't getting us
nowhere.
nowhere.
And sometimes we still have our moments of that.
Yeah.
So we're not perfect, and I want people to know that this Minister Mikara and Pastor Glen, we're the perfect couple. But I'm telling you, we're nowhere where we used to be. We watching this, we work certain principles that God is helping us to become
Right.
better. So I don't want to be left at the checkpoint of my next level. Your marriage will be left at the checkpoint of the next level. And so forgive if you're gonna be with the individual, talk about the issue, forgive, and move on. Now, I am aware that moving on will take time. Forgiveness, based on the level of what it is, can take some time.
Right. It takes time.
And so the individual now got to be patient enough to understand I forgive you, but I'm still dealing with some effects of this.
Yeah.
Because what's this? Infidelity, for example. If you deal with infidelity, you cannot expect her to forgive you or him to forgive you and then jump back in the bed with you or just start. No, they are in a process of now getting that stuff out of them. They've been hurt. They've been crushed. Their trust is crushed. So now when you come home and they start looking at you asking where you've been, give them that moment to get themselves together. You have mishandled them. You've hurt them. You understand? So the one that have caused the pain got to give the one that who needs to practice forgiveness a chance.
Right.
Understand? And then the one who needs to forgive, don't beat the individual because you have your chance.
Right.
So we
Right.
both now got to know how to maneuver in this forgiveness. I caused the pain. I need you to forgive me, but I'm going to give you time to forgive, but I shouldn't be paying the price for 5 years. And that's how I feel it.
That's good. To sum up all of that, what you said, what I got out of it is forgiveness allows you to take flight. You can
Take
move.
Amen.
Amen. Take
Take
flight.
flight.
Take flight.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so do we say thou shall remain faithful? Thou shall remain faithful. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Um,
I think that comes down to protecting the vows.
Okay.
Protecting the vow that you create. You got to understand, you stand at the altar and you said, God, I want you to bless this. And you exchange some stuff. Now, God didn't force you. You brought him in it. You said, God, I brought Mikara. I need you to bless this. Which means now that you're setting covenant. Now, a lot of time we talk about faithful, and I'm going to come from this angle about mishandling that vows. You not being faithful to that person. And that's mean you stepping out and doing stuff, infidelity. I'm going to say something here. Your spouse might be responsible for your vulnerability, but they are not responsible for your infidelity.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay? Now, you could feel vulnerable because they're not there, they ain't doing nothing. But you got to remember that your vows as what should hold you together even when you feel like you're falling apart. And so infidelity is not her problem. If I step out and I end up in infidelity, she might have had left me, might give me the vulnerability because of some things she neglected. But there's no way that we can blame the individual for us not realizing what we stand before God for. I could never ever accept no excuses of someone that falls. That's your fault. You did that. That was your choice. Now you can allow her vulnerability and talk about it to try to fix it or whatever you got to do to find counseling, but the infidelity is not your partner's fault. And I feel like if we're gonna remain faithful, we gotta know where to go with our vulnerability. And I feel like our vulnerability is what's causing infidelity and all kind of other stuff. So when you don't know where to go, when you don't know where to go, where do I dump this vulnerability? I'm vulnerable right now. You
Mhm.
understand?
Mhm.
And so when my wife went to school, I was in a vulnerable place because she's not here. But I surrounded myself with people I know who could handle me and keep me in check, stuff like that. And so I feel like you just need to know where to go. When I'm feeling some type of way, that's for ministry purpose. I have a friend, Apostle Mike Francis, and if I feel a little vulnerable in ministry, I call him. We go for a drive. I vent. When I finish venting to Apostle Mike, he prayed for me. That done. That done. He holding me against that. He said, call me to preach by his church. He said, come at me in the sun. So it's that you got to know where to go with your vulnerability. And
Right.
every marriage will have moments of vulnerability. You understand? And so once you could find a
A
safe
safe
place
place.
to release that vulnerability or talk about that vulnerability, then you stand less chance of breaking or not honoring those vows you made.
Okay, let me get at some of these quotes, comments. Okay, Warren says, if you say you forgive, but you keep bringing it up, did you really forgive?
I'll put it like this. Depends on how long, because bringing it up can also speaks of a sign of you're not healed. And so sometimes you might need to seek further help because not bringing it up don't means I forgive you. I'm still bleeding.
And what are you doing to help
Did
me in
I
the
really
healing
forgive?
What are you process? Doing to
That
help
means
me
the
in the
process
healing
is
process?
completed. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 If I mess up on my wife, I did some stuff. She forgives me, but how do she are able to heal? I gotta keep
What
reassuring her.
boundaries?
I gotta keep reassuring her. I gotta set boundaries.
Mhm.
I gotta let her see that the mistake I made, I'm securing myself that I don't make that mistake again.
Right.
If she sees that, she began to heal. If I was coming home late and I still come home late, how am I helping her to heal?
Yeah.
She's gonna remember because the last time you came home late, you had lipstick on you. So what you need to do now for the next couple of months or year, come home early. That's one
Forgiveness is a
thing you have.
process. Forgiveness is a
Yes,
process. It doesn't just
yes,
happen overnight.
exactly,
I mean, no
woman.
matter what it is, it does not happen overnight. It's definitely a
Yes,
It doesn't
process.
yes,
happen overnight.
Okay,
yes,
Esther says faithfulness has a lot to do with self control.
It
Absolutely.
does. It
yes, Esther. That's
does.
very good.
Definitely.
Very good,
Absolutely.
Esther.
That's my sister. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. So Patrice says that's when God is in control of your life, you know where to take it. I'm not sure exactly
yes,
what she's referring to
Yes.
at
yes,
that point. And then
Definitely.
Jasmine says, and this is where narcissist traits comes in because some will blame you for that infidelity, meaning the partner will blame you, saying that you were the one who caused them. I understand exactly what you're saying, Jasmine.
Yeah.
They'll say you're the one who caused them to go out because
Yeah.
you made them vulnerable because you didn't do this in the home
hmm
Right.
and you
Right.
didn't
Right.
handle
Right.
them this. And so they use that as an excuse.
An
Yes,
excuse.
Can I
absolutely.
show you an example? And this for the man especially. Um, you look at this right here. This is a sharpie, and this is the cover for it. And this is the way I look at my life and my family. I am the covering of my house. And anything that happens to, let's say that's my wife, anything that happened to her is my responsibility. If this dry up, it's because I wasn't properly covering. And I think
Mm,
one of the things that we need to realize, especially as men, as we look at Adam, when Eve ate the fruit, we always kind of say Eve was wrong. Eve was not wrong. We tell you why Eve was not wrong. Because when Eve did it, nothing happened. But when she brought it home and Adam ate, then their eyes were open. And I feel like if my wife brings something home and I get back where you get it from, where you get it from, where you bought it from. Understand? And I feel like until we understand that like we are responsible for everything that happens in our home as the priests. We are to cover it. If I don't cover her properly, she don't produce properly. So sometimes men are allowing their wife to do this and allowing their wife to do that. No, no, no. You don't got to allow her to do anything once you cover her properly. I found that out. There was some stuff that I was in this that I was crying out for and longing for in our marriage. That it just simply happened when I decided to be the man and lead, to be honest. When she saw me leading, she followed. Submission ain't a problem when you're leading. That's for my man. A woman will never have a problem submitting to any man who is leading. And I'm talking about just doing, I got about leading. She ain't have no problem with you dealing with the money. She ain't have no problem with you dealing with it because she sees that when I follow, I ain't falling down because you're properly leading. So whenever something go wrong in the home, I say it's my fault. Something was faulty with the covering. Something went wrong somewhere with covering. My wife dry up, something she's not doing the things she's supposed to do. It's because something went wrong in the covering. And then for the women, I understand some of your thoughts. How could I stay under a covering when the man is not really covering? That's okay. And so you got to get to the point, man, where we cover, and women, you got to know how to submit to the covering. Because if he's available and you're not getting under it, it's still gonna be the same problem. So one of the things that we have to understand is that we have to be a people that understand the order of God. It's my fault. I don't care how wrong she is. It's my fault. Yes, we can talk about her wrong, but I own it up to everything. If something happened in my house and the police come to me, it's my fault. Something happened in the church, but my wife don't fight that. That ain't a fight. I deal with that. It's my fault. I go home and we'll talk about it. And that's the way I see it. And that's been helping me to understand. So,
People are enjoying that example of being the covering with the Sharpie. That's a good one, Pastor Glenn.
yeah,
Listen, we overtime, and this is the last one to wrap up because I told you these people will keep you on all night. I know them.
yes, I enjoyed it.
So let's go. Let's just touch on thou shalt be selfless because all of these really tie together.
It ties in,
It
right.
ties
Let's
in,
build
yeah.
a spark of conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, and being selfless is exactly what it is. I guess talk about even with this. It's just simply giving yourself up for for me, the betterment of your family. My wife, I could when I wake up in the morning, when I walk out of my door, everything that I would do and I would accomplish is to keep her happy. Understand? While people might call my name and while people might say, okay, Pastor Glenn did a wonderful job, I often say, I couldn't do without this woman by my side. And that's why when it comes to the church, I never let them dishonor her. She ain't got to fight in the church. She ain't got to deal with nothing in the church because there would never be, and she ain't got to live up to the people's expectations either. But this is what I say. I will protect. I will give up my right. I will give up my rights. I will give up my whatever to ensure that my family is covered. So I am selfish when it comes to them, but I'm selfless when it comes to them.
Yeah.
And that is because I believe that one of the greatest responsibility that God has given me is to ensure that the family He has given me, and this is not a cliche, this is no fake for me. Anybody who know me, this is why I flow. When it comes to her and my son and my bonus daughter, they are what I live for, and whatever I accomplish, they can have it all. That's the way I look at it. And so, and our home, the only thing we are selfish about and think is food. We can't share food. We don't, yeah. Give my food.
No, you can't share
no,
food.
I share
Who's the greediest? Who's the greediest?
I'm the greediest, but then she have her moments of greediness too.
I will share.
Let me say this. If we go out, I'll buy you anything you want. Right? We go out. She ordered what oh baby, I want some of that. And I'm
I feel as if we are out, we should be able just to taste each other's plate.
No.
My husband
I can buy you.
If I say, baby, let me taste a piece of your ribs, he would literally order me a whole rack of ribs to taste it. Because he said this is his.
That's mine. That's me. We have an issue that you gotta pray for us in that area.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious when it comes to food.
Food. Like,
Yeah.
That's
It's not like you
hilarious.
can be rowing. You can't like how you can't be selling one
No.
piece of cake. You gotta cut them two and make it separate.
Listen to me. My food is my food.
It's
Your
so
food.
funny.
And the
That
thing that's
is
he
so
is, and no matter
funny.
what, he has
There's no counseling, there's no
none,
affirmation, there's no consultation, there's no articulation
nothing.
that made me change my view. I can buy you whatever you want. Leave my food alone.
Just leave mine alone. Just leave mine alone. So, hey, thank you guys for swerving with me tonight. This has been another edition of Swerve with Me, a show where we have adult conversations for mature audiences. We talk about anything that you can think about because we want to help people grow. That's why we
Yes.
do what we do. It has been so awesome to have you guys swerving with me tonight. I look forward to having another conversation with you all when y'all finish those books that you're working on because we didn't even get to talk about all of that. But
Yes.
if I mind y'all, we'll be on here all night, and people got to go to work. Thank you guys for hanging. Thank you to the New Destiny family who came out to support you all. Thank you to all of my swervers all around the US, the Caribbean, Canada, who come each week and hang out with me. Until next week, same time, same place. I'm Miranda, and it's good night, everybody.